What's going on, everyone? We are back for another album reaction and review. Thanks so much for hanging out. I hope you're having a great day. Today, the album that we're going to be listening to is Demon Days from the Gorillaz. This is an album that has been requested quite a bit on the channel since our last Gorillaz video, which was Plastic Beach. And I'm going to be honest, I've been wanting to listen to this album since I was a kid. Ever since Feel Good Inc. came out, I'm sure like a bunch of y'all, I fell in love with the sound and style of the Gorillaz. And I've always wanted to listen to more of their music. Maybe it was because I was younger. I just never did that dive into the rest of their discography. But I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because now that I'm older, I can actually appreciate their musicianship that much more. When we listened to Plastic Beach, that album was like nothing I'd ever heard before, musically, sonically. Just the different styles that were being fused together, of course, along with Damon's voice. It was just a instant click for me. There were a couple of songs on there that didn't click with me right away, but even those ones, after multiple listens, they became really catchy and they grew on me really quickly. Before we get into the album, I want to do a little bit of background on Demon Days, and that is, Damon Albarn has said that the album is meant to be a depiction of a journey through the night in which each track represents a confrontation with a personal demon. So for those of y'all who have not been around on the channel before, the way I like to approach these reactions and reviews is I like to see what the running themes are within each song and within the album as a whole, to get an idea of what the band or the artist was thinking at the time. So this is a lot of really good information, because now we have the foundation of the running themes that we can expect to see within this album. So without wasting any more time, we're going to go into the first song, which is Intro. Let's go. Okay, so some sirens. Electronic. So the lyrics are saying, "Who put me down on the food chain?" Just keeps repeating that line over and over again. Sound like some Okay, we're going to pause it for a second so we can talk about it. So right off the bat, we have some really gloomy, almost daunting synths. And then we had that siren kind of fading in and out within the song. We had that repeating line that said, "Who put me down on the bottom of the food chain?" Overall, a really short and simple song, but there were a lot of different emotions going through it that gave me the feeling of, like Damon was saying, nighttime, very daunting, very apocalyptic. And I think it was a good introduction to what the rest of the album can deliver. The last line of the song is, "We are now entering the harmonic door." So we're going to go into the next song, which is Last Living Souls.
Are we the last living souls? Are we the last living souls? That's no way to behave. And just along, and you pretend to sing a song. It doesn't sing, it grows. Are we the last?
I love how this is grooving.
Are we the last to get away to a song, another day? Are we the last living souls? Are we the last living souls?
Those hummings are adding a nice depth to it.
Is all our song. I got it down and wrong. The long sea yellow now strong.
Wow. I like this section. I really liked the groove that was going on within that song and the way the synths were sitting in that pocket. I think this one is more from an emotional standpoint as far as the way the lyrics are coming across as opposed to what's going on within the music. Because in this case, you know, the lyrics are saying, "Are we the last living souls?" It's very much like an existential crisis. And some of the other lines in the song just talking about trying to find your way. Maybe things don't have as much meaning as they used to or ever did. A little bit later on, it starts to feel a little bit more hopeful. So this song really feels more reflective than anything. And the music is more uplifting than those themes that Damon had described, it being nighttime and it being facing your inner demons. The next song is Kids with Guns. I like how the instruments are filling in each other's spaces.
Kids with guns, they get over. But it won't be long. They're mesmerized. Skeletons. Easy does it, they got something to say.
Ooh, got chills. I like how that fell into the pocket.
Easy does it, they got something to say. Now they're turning us into monsters. Turning us into fire. Easy does it, they got something to say. Now they're turning us into monsters. It's all desire, it's all desire, it's all real.
I love those trumpets. A lot of layering in the mix right now.
Push it real.
With how calming and inviting this song is, it almost feels like temptation. How he says it's all desire, push it, push it. Oh yeah, this is really epic. Okay, we're going to pause it right there because it's going to go right into the next song. I really liked how that was developing and the rhythm, like I was saying before. I like how it was very distinct and the drums were doing a very good job filling in those blanks. The song was very repetitive, but in a sense that it was more of like a hazy, like trance that you were going into. The title can either be taken as a direct meaning or something a little bit more tongue-in-cheek. It could be either a rebellious or a revolutionary statement. It could be more sinister or dark. And I think the music did a really good job with the way it was building at the very end. Felt very epic with those trumpets and the guitars, the way they were falling within the mix. I thought that was a really cool way to drop the beat, is for it to tease itself as the beat is about to drop. Thought that was really well done, and we're going to keep moving forward. The next song is "Oh Green World." Guitar kind of sounds like an old record player or something. Does that sound like a music box? It sounded like it could have been depicting a music box. I always love that filter that Damon has on his voice. Those backing vocals are very mesmerizing too, and I like how the synths are kind of mimicking it. Sounds like an alarm. Oh, wow. I like how that's falling out with just the vocals and those keys. Okay. Wow, that one is really dense. So I want to try to get as many of these themes as I can across. The way it was starting out with those electronic themes, then as soon as the guitar started coming in with its distortion usually gives it this dirtiness. So to me, it's drawing a picture of what was originally pristine and white and clean. It started to lose that luster over time and became very dingy, very gross, almost deserted. And you see that in the lyrics where he says, "Oh, green world, don't desert me now. Bring me back to fallen town." To me, it seems like a place that was deserted long ago, and he's revisiting it, and it's lost all of its lush greenery. It's dead. There's no one around. I really liked how Damon's voice was kind of swelling at the end. You don't really hear Damon's voice do that, at least from what I've heard in the past. And then another thing that I thought was really cool was as all of that chaos within the music was building up and swelling, and then it just fell out from underneath. To me, the fact that it was just the voices almost felt like everything around these people who are singing is gone, and now it's just the people. So very apocalyptic in that sense, in the way the music was built. The next song is Dirty Harry. Oh, I like this groove. Very funky. I like how that ride bell is cutting through. Feels more like a desert again. Whoa. Very bright for a really dark message. I think this is the catchiest one so far. Wow. I don't think it's any coincidence that Damon made this one of the catchiest songs with the kind of message that it's giving. I like how the synths are mimicking the vocals. That bass groove is awesome. Yeah, this needed some strings.
I change the whole occasion to a pine box 6 under. Impulse on your ass, wild wonder. Orders given to me and strike, then I'm the break. You can't conceal the hate that consumes you. I'm the reason why you feel up your Sousa. Shit filled with guilt from things done and seen. Your water's from a bottle, mine from a canteen. At night I hear the shots swing for my light sleeper. Cost of life seems to get cheaper. Baby to him, I'm just a pawn, so he can advance. Remember when they used to dance?
Whoa, okay. That is another really dense song. And I decided not to speak during that last section because I really wanted to soak up all of those lyrics as much as I can so we can talk about it afterwards. That first section was really catchy and very bright and playful, with even the vocals being done by what sounded like a bunch of kids. I think that was very purposeful from Damon in that sense. Then he says, "I'm a peace-loving decoy," which is a great line, ready for retaliation. So even though he has this persona that he's showing that he is about peace and love and not about fighting, he is able to flip on a switch. I love the next line where he says, "I change your location to a pine box 6 under." Kind of fits that same theme as before, ready for retaliation. Orders given to me is strike. So now I'm starting to think that this is a song about war, and I'm filled with guilt from things that I've seen. Your water's from a bottle, mine's from a canteen. At night I hear the shots ring, so I'm a light sleeper. The cost of life, it seems to get cheaper. That is such a powerful line, because if you're coming at it from a economic standpoint, you're like, no, because inflation and the state of the economy. But in this is talking about the actual value of life is so dirt cheap to these warmongers. That's what I'm getting from this. I think this is probably my favorite song, not just musically, but thematically. And the next song is Feel Good Inc. Of course, we've all heard this song, but I want to see how its context is going to change now that we've heard these last couple songs. So, let's go. Those guitars are so underrated in this song. I don't think people talk about them enough.
City's breaking down on a camel's back. They just have to go 'cause they don't know where. And all I wanna hear is the message beep. My dreams, they gotta kissing 'cause I don't get sleep, no. Windmill for the land, love forever hand in hand. It is taking
God, I feel like I'm 10 years old again.
love forever, love is breathing.
Laughing gas, these hazmats, fast cat, lining them up like ass crack. Play these ponies at the track, it's my chocolate attack. Watch me as I gravitate, ha 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 ha. No, we gon' ghost town, this Motown with your sound, you in the blink, ha 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 ha.
I know it's a meme, but the laughing is just so maniacal now with the context of the rest of the album so far. And you can hear so much of this darkness from the previous songs in this now. I love how bright and beautiful this section of the song is compared to the beginning.
Don't shop, get it, deep high captains in it, steady, watch me navigate, ha 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 ha.
Okay. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie. That was a lot of fun listening to it again. We all know this song is a banger, so there's really not much more musically that I want to talk about this song that I didn't already say within the song. This particular song feels like anarchy, protesting, seeing a nation crumble, laughing gas these hazmats, fast cats, lining them up like ass cracks, playing these ponies at the track. So the whole thing is just a giant game to them. And the fact that he uses laughing gas kind of adds to the maniacal laughing at the end. We're going to ghost town this Motown with Yo Sound, you in the blink. Going to bite the dust, can't fight with us with Yo Sound, you kill the ink. So that part, obviously it's still in that war mindset. Further down in the last couple lines, he says, don't stop, get it, peep how your captain's in it, steady watch me navigate. So for me, it's like, this is your captain's orders. You are just a pawn, and you're going to do as I say. So you have no control over the situation. You're just going to do your job. Obviously, this song is a masterpiece. And in the context of the album now, it has added so much more weight to it because it's such a light and beautiful song in certain pockets. But with the rap style in there and everything else, there's this sinister and dark feeling. If y'all have any other thoughts on Feel Good Inc., I would really love to hear them. Next song is El Manana. This one feels futuristic, but a more calming setting.
I took
such a somber approach in his voice. Yeah, it's like a longing in this. The strings are a good touch in this. This last section of the vocals sounds not as powerful. Like he doesn't have any more energy. That siren sounded like something that was going off in some sort of futuristic facility or something. This song feels like an attachment that he had to a partner. I think it's kind of interesting how he decides to personify the season of summer as a he. It's kind of cool. He says, "Summer doesn't know me anymore. He just let me loathe in my sin." Maybe during that period of time, he lost himself and he fell into some inner demons. Was very powerful the first couple of phrases, but then as it got to the very last chorus, it almost sounded weightless, or that he didn't have as much power or energy coming through his voice. Almost like he was starting to settle more and more with time through his healing, and he was eventually giving up his control and accepting things the way they are. He still longed for it, but he didn't have as much energy to give anymore. He was kind of moving on in his own way. There's a really good blend and balance of past and future elements through these songs. Very post-apocalyptic, but some of these songs have either a utopian or dystopian feeling to them. For the war themes, he seems to be going more into a primitive style and approach, whereas these other songs where it kind of dealing with nature or love, it seems more futuristic or utopian. So I think that's a really interesting choice that he's making depending on the theme that he wants coming across. The next song is "Every Planet We Reach Is Dead." And I love how the guitar is using the wah. Feels very bluesy, like I'm in an alleyway.
I smiling like I lost my way, so no loose ends, nothing to see me dance out.
I like those backing vocals. I love how dirty that cymbal is making this.
Dreams are bad, our heads are mad, but God only knows it's getting hard to see the sun coming through.
I love how flowy this rhythm is. I feel like I could sway back and forth to this forever.
Picture I'm a dreamer.
Oh, those voices, the way they're layered.
Down to the sleepy town is alone. Don't you know?
Oh, wow. The piano breaking this up right here. It's a good choice. The brass adding this depth to this. So jazzy. God, this feels so grand, so epic. I like how this song is being allowed to breathe again right now. That may be my top 3 songs on this album so far. I love how laid back that song was, and I'm going to talk about why here in a second, but the way the rhythm was grooving and the way it was developing with the brass and the keys and the synths, there was really cool sections in there that allowed the song to breathe, allowed that song to build and become so grand and greater than life. I think that song with the beginning, right, it had that line at the beginning that said, "I lost my leg like I lost my way." I think that could be a tie-in from one of the songs that was talking about war. Maybe that is a veteran. The next section, he's saying, dreams aren't bad, our heads are mad. I love the girl, but God only knows it's getting hard to see the sun coming through. It's almost like his inner demons are coming out and kind of getting some lustful vibes from that. Pretty obvious in the fact that he says getting hard to see the sun coming through. The running themes across this album talking about a ongoing night throughout everyone's lives. The last section, he's talking about dreaming, about being sleepy, and then he says, "You're in love with him. I want to see you again. I love you." To me, maybe there's some jealousy or envy coming through there. But another thing is, since this song is talking about dreaming and being sleepy, I think the vibe of this song plays into that very well, because the song is so laid back and so slow. The song is maybe 1 BPM shy of just putting you to sleep because of how dragging it is, but it is groovy enough and it is just the right tempo to keep you locked in. For me anyways. In that sense, I think this song is very successful. And like I said, it's probably top 3 for me off this album so far. The next song we have is November Has Come.
Slow it down some, no split, clown bum. Your gold hit sound dumb. Hold it now, crown 'em. Put a floated, bloated, voted, sugar coated, loaded, hip shooter. Draw for the poor, free coffee at the banks. Hit through the scrawl, none more for me, thanks. Crank it on blast, roll past Front Street. Blew the whole spot like some old ass with skunk meat. These kids is too fast, juiced off a junk tree. Who could get looser off a crunk or a funk beat?
That was a good section. Am I getting R&B flares from this?
Can you dig it like a spigot? My guess is yes, you can. Like, can I kick it wicked? Lick a shot if you happy and you know it, as you clap your hands to the thick snot of a poet flowing. Rope a pen and I'm in. Cold hymen, dope a rhyming, more worth than the whole diamond. Acquired off the black mark lit. A rapper bug zapper, and it don't matter after if there's a thug or dapper. The beast got family members asking him for closure. Send him a gun and tell him clean it. Then go get the nun who said her son didn't mean it. And said, nah, for real, I'm a gorilla John.
Something is starting today. Where did he go? Why you want it to be? Where did he go? Why you want it to be? Where you know November has come.
One thing that I did read about this album is it did have a feature from MF Doom. And I'm happy to say that in the future, I will be listening to MF Doom's albums on the channel. That is a great tease for what we can expect from him. First couple lines of this song: your gold hits sound dumb, hold it now, crown 'em. Where you found them at, got 'em round town, could have drowned in it. I think that's all really tongue-in-cheek. He's talking about how somebody probably just isn't worth the time of day in terms of what they bring to the table with their music. Like they probably didn't earn it or anything like that. This next line is pretty wild. He says, would have floated, bloated, voted, sugar-coated, loaded, hip shooter. It's hitting all of those themes that we were talking about throughout the earlier parts of this album. Draw for the poor. He's talking about the hip shooter, basically pointing the gun at the poor. Next part says, these kids is too fast, juiced off a junk treat. Who could get looser off a crunk or a funk beat? To me, I think it's talking about kids, getting their fix on drugs, and basically saying which one gets you the better high, doing drugs or listening to music. Get to the chorus and it says, something starting today. Where did he go? Why you wanted to be? Well, November has come when it's gone away. I think this might be talking about like midterms or elections. I think that this might be more politically driven in my eyes. I'm going to read this as best as I can because this is my favorite line of this entire song. Liquor shot if you happy and you know it, as you clap your hands to the thick snot of a poet flowing, grope a pen and I'm in cope hymen, doper rhyming, more worthier than the hope diamond acquired off the black market. That's just such a great line. I love that. And it gets me so excited to hear more from MF Doom for sure. The next section seems pretty important, and I'm curious to see what the actual meaning is behind it. So it says, the rapid fire sparklet, a rapper bug zapper. To me, I think that's saying rappers have a target on their back and maybe there's a hit on them. And it don't matter if they're a thug or dapper. Plug your trap or it's maximum exposure. The beat's got family members asking him for closure. Send him a gun, tell him to clean it. Then go get the nun who said her son didn't mean it. I think it's talking about maybe there was somebody who either was in a bad situation with a rapper where it was a bad deal or just some confrontation, and they wound up taking out the rapper, like killing him. And to me, those last couple of lines is maybe saying how whoever took out the rapper or killed the rapper was pardoned or was absolved of his crime when he shouldn't have been. And unfortunately, MF Doom is conveying that message and saying this is the cold truth of it all. This was such a dense song, and I think it's really only scratching the surface of what MF Doom is capable of. So I can't wait to get into more from him. And we're just going to continue on to the next song, which is All Alone. Feels like 8-bit. Very groovy. Like these vocal layerings.
Snatch a piece of my wondering. This didn't fall like yondering. Skin of my tooth like, skin of my boot like, flying my suit like. Where's the waitress? Bounce, wiggle, shaking all them veins out. Camel cool cutthroats, bound to blow the brain out. Cut to the pain, this ain't no game. I show no shame. I birth this pain. I twist the cane, I twist the game. I push the flames. Plain as death's about to make it clear. We happy on we lonesome. The lone drum, the beat hot, the start to finish. 10 spoons of spinach, the soul and the spinach, the cup that runneth over. We turn up the oh God.
That was a great feature. This is a really good blend of all sorts of genres.
Close your eyes and see. When the morning comes, it doesn't seem to say enough to me.
Wow, that was a great section. These synths have done a really good job developing this section of the song. Wow. Man, that was a really cool one. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about that song at the beginning, but with each new section that was coming across, it was really adding and doing a lot for me, actually. This song felt very biblical compared to all the other songs that we heard. Right out the gate, the feature said Leviticus and Deuteronomy, which are a couple of books from the Bible. So this felt very apocalyptic in that sense. The second section felt more bright and hopeful, but there was also this somberness from the feature's message when she says, when the morning comes, it doesn't seem to say an awful lot to me. And I think that's a really real statement for a lot of people. Sometimes we have this mindset where it'll get better tomorrow. You go to bed and you wake up and you still feel the same, if not worse, than you did the night before. You just feel like you're in this constant cycle of pain and anguish. And unfortunately, that is a reality for a lot of people. And it seems to be coming across with the repeated line of all alone, all alone. So now we'll get to the next song, which is White Light. That beginning section felt like white noise. Pretty repetitive song right off the gate. There was a lot of anxiety coming through that song, and now that it kind of opened up right here, pretty interesting decision. Like those little electronic bits right there. I don't know if I have a whole bunch of thoughts on that song. Felt very claustrophobic, felt very anxious. And then it opened up a little bit at the very end with those synths and I think those strings. And then it went back into that section, kind of brightened up with the electronic, sounding like some bright synths or some 8-bit sounds. So it did brighten up a little bit, but it could be as simple or as in-depth as you want to make it, and I think it could be as simple as just alcoholism. So the next song is Dare. Now, I will say that this is one of their more popular songs, but I don't know if I've actually heard this song, so you will know by my reaction whether or not I've heard this song before. Next song is Dare.
He's coming out, 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 he's coming out. It's there.
I've heard that. Oh, wait a second.
It's there.
Okay. I think I've heard this before. Yeah. Yeah, very electronically driven. Those synths are what the main body of the song is. Such a good vibe. Can't tell if it's like keys or what, but there's something in there that's really bright and dreamy. Feeling like drops of water, honestly. Right here, yeah. Sounds like raindrops. Okay, yeah. That is a really, really good song. I mean, I've heard samples of that. I've heard little bits and pieces. Of course, the chorus, that's really catchy. Not a lot of thoughts thematically from this one. I think it was just a really good song. It's very catchy, and I think the synths do a good job of keeping it bright, but there's still some darkness in the chorus that comes out. My favorite line out of that was "Jump with the moon and move it." Kind of feels like you're reaching out for your goals, right? So that's what that felt like. If y'all have any thoughts on Dare, let me know in the comments. So the next song is "Fire Coming Out of the Monkey's Head."
Once upon a time, at the foot of a great mountain, there was was a town where the people known as happy folk lived.
Oh, that humming.
Here they played out their peaceful lives,
giving it a very
innocent of the
dark
renewed
feeling.
excess and violence. To live in harmony with the spirit of the mountain called Monkey was enough. Then one day, strange folk arrived in the town. They came in camouflage, hidden behind dark glasses.
Falling out of aeroplanes and hiding out in holes, waiting for the sunset to come, people going home and shoot them in the head. Now everybody dancing the dance of the dead.
It felt like a folk song, actually, with some electronic themes, but seems like another song about war and invasion.
In time, the strange folk, they coveted the jewels in these caves above all things. Its rich scene, fueling the chaos of their own world.
Oh, little town in USA, the time has come to see. But where were you when it all came down on me? Did you call me now?
That was a total departure from everything else that we've heard from this album. Very story-driven, obviously. It felt very worldly, very folk, and that last little bit almost had a little bit of country elements to it, too. To me, I think this is a story about invasion, a story about greed. It became obvious to me when he said they came in camouflage, hidden behind dark glasses, falling out of airplanes. To me, it's when it says it's rich seem fueling the chaos of their own world. I think that's a pretty direct way of saying, like, you go to other places to consume other nations' goods. I think that could be all types of goods, whether it's food, resources, maybe fuel, like oil, you know? Damon closed out the song with a little section that felt very real in the sense that it is no longer some folk story. It is now a telling of something that may have happened in the U.S. in real life. And it seemed like maybe it's talking from the perspective of someone who was at that location or a similar location in a similar circumstance. So I liked the storytelling in that one. The next song is Don't Get Lost in Heaven. This feels very bright. Okay, so this is a tie-in from the song before. Yeah, very bright, but still a dark message. So that choir section almost sounded like angels saying that heaven's locked.
I just took a line, but I wasn't with you. There was more of it there when I got back home. You're a hobo. Yeah, you're a hobo.
That was another interesting switch up. Very, very bright and not as involved as the other songs on this album. So it seemed like another tie-in from the previous song with that opening verse. Is talking about visiting the Monkey Mountain, seeing that there was someone dead in a pit, and that seems to be the person that Damon was talking about at the very end of that song. So yeah, that choir section seemed like the angels in heaven. So okay, so now that I kind of think about what was going on in the first song and what he was talking about with the person who he found in the pit, the second part seems to make a little more sense of how that scenario went. So the guy, he says, I just took a line, but I wasn't with you, so sound like he did a line of coke. There was more of it there when I got back home. But you had left me, you don't know my soul. So then it follows up with talking about not getting lost in heaven. So to me, I feel like he killed the girl. That's how I take it. So in the first part, it sounded like a circumstance where someone had died out of their own control. In the second part, it's almost like that person, that guy, now has a grasp or control on the outcome of someone else's life. So a really scary but real situation in both of those verses. So that was a weirdly balanced song of very bright music and a very dark message. I think Damon does an incredible job doing that across all of his music, but it's continuing to be showcased in these songs as well. Now we're on to the final song of the album, which is Demon Days. I love that it is starting out with these strings or this orchestra. It's so epic for what has been an amazing album. It's an interesting voice that he's deciding to use in here. It's very uplifting. Those synths or that guitar part seems like beams of light shining down. The choir's a good choice. Yeah, so uplifting compared to the rest of the album. Very much looking forward, you know, flares of gospel. Wow. That felt very much like the ending of Plastic Beach. Well, in this case now, it seems like Plastic Beach was paying homage to Demon Days in that sense now. I really, really liked that a lot. His choice in his approach in the very beginning with his voice and then the message across this song. It's a very tongue-in-cheek approach that Damon is so known for doing. The choir, how they were chanting the chorus. So you can't even trust the air you breathe. The chorus is so concise. It's so direct. There's zero fluff, and it's pretty much embodying all of the themes that were going on throughout this entire album. But it's very much looking to the future. The last line says, "Don't burn yourself, turn yourself around into the sun." Like, bring in that warmth, start looking forward. And I know that it is dark days now and dark days to come, but we have to keep our head up high and look to the sun. It's almost like with Demon Days, right? The entire theme was a constant night that never ends. And there's, in this case, now there's the sun. Everyone is experiencing the exact same demon days or the nighttime. All of us have our own personal struggles, our own emotional traumas that we have to bear, that we all are trying to work through or hopefully are working through. I can't speak for everybody, but it's something that we all need to strive for and help each other to set out to achieve and accomplish. Overall, this album has been so fun to listen to. I really wanted to take my time with this one. It really means a lot to me knowing that I grew up with Feel Good Inc. I think one of the first albums that I ever had was the Now That's What I Call Music collections, and it had Feel Good Inc. on there. And I'm pretty sure every time I put on the CD player, that would be the one song that I would be repeating over and over and over and over again. So it really means a lot to me to finally experience this album from start to finish. Now that I'm older, I don't think I would have enjoyed or appreciated this album at the time. So in that sense, I'm so happy that I waited to this point in my life to listen to it. I absolutely love this album. It is now one of my favorites thematically and musically. And I think we have a couple of other Gorillaz albums that we still need to listen to in the future. But otherwise, let me know any of y'all's feedback about this review or about Demon Days. Let me know y'all's experiences with this album. I know this is a very dense album thematically, and I'm curious to hear what y'all's interpretations are of the music. Thanks so much for hanging out again, guys, as always, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks.